Hello and welcome to the Soul Sessions with Jen podcast. Today I'm super excited to have Marie Fleming Grant with me to have a little chat about finding your own way in business, aligned action, and all sorts of things. So I'm just going to quickly hand you over to Marie just to do a little introduction, just to let you know what she really does and who she is.
Hi, Jen. Hi, everyone listening, tuning in. Thank you for having me, first of all. It's a real pleasure to come on and speak to you. So I'm Marie Fleming Grant, and I'm founder of the Awake Revolution. And I'm very much here. I'm very passionate about what I do. So I will go off on tangents probably, as we just spoke about. But yeah, I'm here really to help people expand their consciousness, and really beyond that is really bring that into the real world. So really help you step into what I feel is your true mission. So all of us with, creative, visionary, entrepreneurial, like innovations, ideas, all of this stuff. I really believe that it isn't just a little whisper. It's our mission. It's deep soul purpose reasons for us coming in. So that's what I help people do. And I'm really here to help you drop the baggage, anything that's getting in your way of that, because there's a whole ton of stuff, and I'm walking that path, so I'm always doing this to myself. So drop all that baggage, waking up to the real you, who you really are beyond all the labels and the society's expectations, and what your friends and family might believe that you are.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And really step into all of who you came here to be, and really revolutionize how you're thinking, feeling, living, creating, because I really believe that we're here to do big expansive things, and not everybody understands how that feels, right? Because we're not all here to do the same thing. So I'm so fueled up about all of that. And I'm a writer as well. I'm an author. I channel my beautiful team of guides, which is not as weird as it may sound. And I feel like I've had a completely different life to my previous days as a lawyer. So I was very in that box, right, of 9 to 5, black and white. And how I live now is very different. So I understand that transition as well, really well. Yeah.
Interesting because I guess used to fit into sort of the normal 9 to 5, and just as it's sort of hiding away more of like the spiritual side of things, and like all of that which is slowly, I guess, coming out. So I guess if you had, because you've done the journey from your 9 to 5 to your business now, what tips would you give anyone that is sort of at the moment in this like really 9 to 5, just like don't know how to break free, how to really be themselves, and just sort of the first steps to becoming themselves?
It's a really big, expansive question, and I love it. You've just gone in there. Let's do it. I'd say it's different for everybody, and I'm a big believer that there is no blueprint, and there's a temptation. We want that. Tell me how to do it. Tell me how to get out of this box and into that amazing thing I see that woman or man over there, creating. What I'd say number one, if you're right at the beginning, is I feel, knowing what I know now, is really allow yourself to imagine and daydream, because it's that spark that majority of people on this planet, they don't give themselves permission. So when you don't even get past that initial phase, right, usually we snub it out like a candle, we just blow it out. I can't be a writer. I can't teach yoga. I can't, pull tarot cards for a living. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And yes, you can. But you've got to start with that flicker. And I think if you backtrack on anyone's success, all the people you follow out there, the ones that you admire, it always started with this seed, this little thought, little whisper in the night, or in between feeding your kids and feeding the dogs. It was like, what if I could? ... So I would start there. If you're really at the beginning, I know not everyone is, but if you're right at the start, like imagine and let yourself like bring through the vision, because what it is really is that the vision is already, I call it your soul blueprint. A lot of us call it that. Your soul blueprint. You came into this lifetime with this vision, this sort of ideas that you wanted to create and bring into the world. Our job really is to just allow that to come through. That's half the battle. That's what most people don't do, right? So that's where I would start. It's really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, so as you say, sort of get, that thought that comes into your mind and actually go with that. And because I do that quite a lot when I write, for example, regardless of what piece of content it is, even if it's just for me. Like if I don't write it down, like the thought almost is gone, and the idea is gone. I was like, okay, that was clearly not meant for me because I didn't do anything with it at that moment. So it's just jumped to essentially someone else or whatever it does. But just like because I guess this is where also aligned action taking comes into account as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about aligned action taking. So for anyone who doesn't know what it is there an easy way for you to explain what it is?
Oh, aligned action, like what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this whole topic, right? So let's say you're in this kind of personal development world, right? It's all we're
Yeah.
full of these ideas and blueprints, and this is how you should do it. This is how you should do it. So you can start following people's strategy, right? We're all surrounded, like, how do we create our businesses typically? How do we get more clients? How do we make an impact?
Mm.
So we can start looking at all these strategies. And if you look enough, longer than 10 minutes, you're going to already have found, right? It was very overwhelming at first for me, all these people's ideas, and they're all great strategies, but it's often things that worked for them. So, you might have someone that swears by, do daily live streams, or post 5 times a day, every day, right? Or whatever the structure is, right? There's
Yeah.
all different ones. That might have worked for them. So with good intention, they're sharing that from a really good place, right? The problem is that when we tap into that and we kind of go, oh, that's how success looks like, we've got to do that, we're not really in alignment, because we're really starting to be pulled out of our own like soul knowing.
Mm.
So what I'm really big on now, having walked that path of looking, and I didn't do it so much because I'm kind of very like in tune with my own self, but I did do it a little bit where I was like, oh, let me try this, let me try that. So now I would never do that. And now I know, and I encourage you all to really think about what is aligned action. And that means taking action from a place that's really, really, and when we say aligned, it's all lined up. So let's just imagine like a line down your center, your mind, your heart, body, and soul. You're all on the same page. So in aligned action is like, oh, I'm gonna write that blog every day because so and so over there said that's the way. And when you're doing it, you're like, oh, holy crap, like this is really hard, or it's like pulling teeth. It doesn't feel lined
Yeah.
up. So aligned action is taking those steps that you feel inside of you, this is really right for me. Maybe you see other people doing it, maybe you don't. It's kind of irrelevant, right? Completely irrelevant. You probably might see a couple of people, or maybe you are an innovator and you won't see anyone, but typically we'll see a couple of people. But it's
Yeah.
like you'll get this feeling inside of you where it's almost like you'll just breathe and you'll feel like, okay, this is the right thing. But I want to add one thing to this to be really aware of. Aligned action doesn't always feel comfortable. So that's where we get into that like gray area. I'll give you a little example, like real life, from my own life. When I started getting a nudge, sort of about 7-8 years ago, of like little nudge came in, whisper, said, do videos. So at the time I was like, nope, nope. The last thing I wanted to do was be visible. Visibility is a
Yeah.
massive thing as well, right, on our journey.
Oh
So
yeah.
I ignored it a little bit, but it kept coming back. So I knew that was like a real, something in my soul was saying, you've
Mm.
got to be seen here. You've got to actually start making videos and doing live streams and things. So I got really, it was like aligned, but I was very uncomfortable. So I want to just make that distinction, because if we're looking for comfort and for it to all feel aligned and amazing, it's like we probably won't do anything, because most of what we're here to do is quite scary. Right?
I was gonna say, yeah, if you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, I dare I say, you're probably not going to go as far in business as,
Yeah.
but yeah. I mean, it's just also when you're talking sort of about, creating things and like 5 posts, or like posting 5 posts a day or whatever. I mean, I've done not 5 posts, no, but I've done like 2 posts a day. And after a while, the energy behind it was just not there anymore because it wasn't aligned with me. The platform wasn't aligned with me either, to be fair. But you know, it was, and people can feel it. You know, people can see the energy behind what's being created, can't they? So
Yeah, totally. And it's another thing as well, like when we're trying to be consistent, I feel, it's the way I feel anyway, it's how I do it, but consistency can look really different. Like consistency doesn't always have to mean, okay, let's say like 2 posts a day, right? 2 posts every single day. Like that might be consistency for one person, but again, I always use my own examples because that's the one I know, right? Deeply. It's like my consistency, for example, is some days I could post 5 times a day. Like sometimes, like not all the time. Sometimes I'm on this massive roll. There's stuff coming through and I'm just in that mood that day. And it's like, I
yeah,
can't hold myself back. I have to, like, it's a meme, it's a
yeah,
quote, it's a thought, right? And then other days, getting one message out feels like, oh, that was enough. So my version of consistency, so if any of you want to borrow that, feel free, right? It's like I'm always showing up because that's, we have to, I do believe we have to show up in some form, otherwise people don't know we're here. But my own consistency is very, if I had to do it, it's more like a roller coastery
yeah.
rather than a straight line. But that is my version because it is consistent because I'm always doing it like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
I know.
yeah.
No, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I stopped essentially sort of listening to anyone apart from myself when it comes to sort of social media posting, because as you say, some days I'm just like posting like 3 times, 4 times a day. And then like last weekend, for example, because my daughter wasn't, so I work when my daughter is either nursery or when she's asleep, because I can't work with her. It just doesn't. Plus, I want to
Yeah.
be present for
Yeah.
her. So, so, but last weekend she was not napping for starters, and she wasn't feeling great. So there were 2 days where I just didn't post, and I'm just like, but that's okay. It's like it's Easter anyway. People are, and even if people were, I'm just like, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I was like,
Mm.
and just to let that thought go in the sense of, I'm like present, I'm there like every single day. I was like, if there are a couple of days where for whatever reason I just can't post, so be it. I'm just like,
Yeah.
and I think I did post about it because I was stressing about my business then, and I'm just like, but if my business can't survive me like looking after my family for 2 days, that's not the business that I want to create.
Totally. That's what you went into it for, right? To create this freedom. And then we end up being this slave to our own our own set of rules, right? Which is may as well stayed
That's
in our
it.
jobs, you know. But what I want to say off the back of that, you've inspired me to say that is know your season, because there's also, you've just mentioned you've got your, your daughter and you've got your family, and
Yeah.
that's going to require different sort of focus points for you, right? And we've all got our own rhythm. So sometimes we have got a period where we are going to be on like on and do, and then there are other times when it's absolutely a call to step back, and making that okay, because
Oh
there's
yeah,
sometimes a belief that if we don't XYZ, then
mm,
happen in our business, and that can absolutely create it, right, and create this stagnancy. So just release that if anyone needs to, and
yeah.
yeah, and just know that you're in your own season and it's going to look so different for each of us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the things I've sort of learned over the last few weeks, month probably, is just do things your own way. It doesn't matter if someone over here is doing, is selling this way. It works for them, great. It doesn't mean it works for you, even if you, as you just said, because it's not aligned with you. So just find your own way of working and just your own way of doing business. So,
Mm.
and I guess just that sort of thought is so freeing, where just all of a sudden I just thought, oh, I don't have to do X, Y, and Z, because I actually hate doing that. But
Yeah.
because I was told to essentially do it, I did it. So, I'm just like, but now I'm just like, no, I don't care. It doesn't feel right for me. I won't do it. So,
Yeah, yeah. And it's trial and error as well. And sometimes,
oh,
when you look
yeah.
at somebody's like polished, whatever, they've got their
Mm,
services packaged or they've got this and that. It's like, remember that had to be a work in progress. Like me,
yeah.
I'm doing this for an online for maybe not serious about the business side, but online for say 8 years, coming up to 8 years.
Yeah.
And it's been such a journey of I've tried. And I think a lot of people need to maybe hear this sometimes. I've tried things, so many things, and they failed and flopped, and no one's like been crickets, no one signed up. And it's been such a process of try this, like really experimenting. So don't be
Yeah.
fooled by that kind of end result, which there's no end result anyway, because we're always
No,
evolving.
yeah.
But sometimes people get stuck on that. They're like, oh my God, she's so amazing and she's got all this. But it's like, that has taken a lot of time to cultivate.
Yeah.
So again, like pressure off and have fun with creating it, I would say. So
Oh,
important.
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we tend to, as people, I think we tend to compare ourselves quite a lot. And especially when you're in the beginning phase of a business, you compare to yourself to someone that's like 10 years down the line and who's been through all of the ups and downs and the trial and errors. But all they see is just like, as you say, that polished person, sweet, whatever. And it's like, oh, I want that. But yeah, you just start where you are right now and just see what works for you. It doesn't, just because they have 5 products, a mastermind, a one to whatever, it doesn't mean that you have to have that. Just have whatever feels good for you. Likewise, I mean, within coaching, it is set to sort of start with one-to-ones. So when I did coaching a few years ago, that advice was absolutely the same. Didn't work for me. I started with group coaching and had people
Yeah.
sign up for group coaching rather than to the one-to-one. And it's clearly that the offer wasn't quite aligned with myself and with my clients at the point. But
Mm.
if someone says to you, don't start with group coaching, if that feels right to you, just do it.
Yeah, there's a
There is
whole
nothing.
rule, isn't there? There's a whole rule about I remember that at the beginning because that was one of the things that struck me. I was like, okay, I can't offer this because I've got a no following. I've got to do it like this. But that's just a rule. Like what gods of coaching created that? Like that's just somebody's opinion, right? We've got to start understanding
Right.
that's just someone's opinion. That's just someone's perspective. That isn't the truth. There is no truth. It's all subjective anyway. So
Yeah.
like just pick stuff, try it, see what works, let it go, move on, try something else, right?
Hey, what's the worst that can happen, right?
Yeah.
You create something or you want to do something, no one signs up. Big deal.
Yeah.
You move on. You learn your lesson from that, and then you
Yeah.
move on. It's not like we're doctors and someone is going to die if you make a mistake. That's
Okay.
it would be very hard, and I would that way in the coaching world at least. So
But that's what it feels like, right? Especially for a lot of people. And again, me in the beginning, it was like, it does feel like I think we tie our self-worth to how many people sign up, how much money we've made, how many clients,
yeah,
like did that launch or flop or fly? Like it's
yeah,
nothing to do with us, right? And I think if we can separate, and if you're here early on your journey and you get this, then you're already
yeah,
flying, right? Because that took me some time, I think, to really separate out like there's me as a soul, my mission, my love, my intention, all the things
yeah,
I'm here to help others with. It's good intention. That's me, that's in there, that's you, that's in there. And then the strategies around it, the business models we choose, how
yeah,
things fail or not, succeed or not, that's just business stuff. That's nothing to do with our self-worth. And I think we entangle, maybe as women we do this more, I don't know, maybe probably men do it
yeah,
as well to some extent, but I know a lot of women do it.
yeah.
um, we entangle it and we make it mean the same thing, and it isn't. So we've got to hold that really steady in yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know exactly where you're coming from because I know I still do that. I'm just like, oh, I need to sign up X amount of clients. Otherwise, I'm just like, but then I'm aware enough to actually pull myself back and just like, no, it doesn't matter if I don't get, let's say, 10 signups. It does not matter. It's like the people that I want to impact and that needs the impact right now,
Mm.
that they are getting it because they've signed up. So, if you sort of think more about, for me at least, if I think more about the impact that I have on the people that sign up, and then again, if no one signs up, clearly something in myself or the offer that I'm offering does not really align at the moment. It might align like 6 months later down the line because I evolve. We all, as you say, we all evolve all the time. So
That is
it's
so true. Just a little reframe for anyone that needs it. I did a program this is a few years ago. Launched a program. Can't even remember what it was called now. Some program, and it didn't. Nobody signed. No, one sign up. I had one lady sign up, right, and nobody else did. So I was like, oh my God, how can this be a group program? There's one person. So
yeah,
I had two options: cancel it, refund her money, or just tell her. So I was like, what should I do? And I thought, well, she signed up because she really wanted this thing that I was offering. So
Mm.
I was like, open, honest message, sent her a message saying, you're the only one that signed up. So here's the option. You can, if you really wanted the group experience, I'm really happy to refund your money and then you can join next time. I said, or alternatively, if you want to, and it only felt, because this felt aligned with me, right, to do it. And I said, alternatively, if you just want to work with me and we'll just do it and it'll be a one-to-one and you've got a great bargain because it's a one-to-one. And she said, yes, please. And we worked together over the course of whatever it would have been. And she had the most amazing shifts. And I really laughed afterwards, thinking, there I was going, oh, failure, failure. And maybe it was because this woman just needed this experience. I was the one to deliver it and magic happened. So I'm just sharing that with any of you, like, so that you can reframe if you've flopped with anything or it hasn't even got the numbers. It's up to you. You can cancel, refund, you can
Yeah.
shift, you can offer it anyway, do whatever you feel, right? Because that's just the ego talking. That's our minds telling us like something. But sometimes magic happens when we don't even expect it. We wouldn't have planned it that way. So I love
No,
that.
absolutely. I mean, I did a 5-day challenge not too long ago, and it was all like 5 days of like video trainings and stuff. It was running from Monday to Friday. On the Sunday, I still didn't have a sign up, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to record it. I'm going to record it because I can't run them live because of my daughter, so I have to like record it. I was like, no, 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 let me just record the first two. So, and then I can record on a Tuesday again when my daughter's in nursery. Tuesday came, still no one, I think, no, no, still no one signed up. And I'm just like, no, I'm just going to keep recording. I'm going to keep doing it because something told me to do it.
Yeah.
On the Thursday, so the last day, someone actually signed up to the challenge. I'm
Yay.
just like, I'm just like, this is why I've just had to record it. That's why I had the sort of the calling with the call to record it. And then I mean, since, because it's available anyway, people have signed up, but just because, even the day before no one has signed up doesn't mean that that someone doesn't sign up. I mean, you can, I mean, I guess with like where you have to record things or run things live, you can do it different ways. Because I guess you can see do it like me, just still record it and then still put it out there. Or if no one signs up, I guess you can just cancel it, I guess. So it's whatever feels aligned with you in that moment. And normally in the past, I would have just canceled it. And I have canceled, I think, like challenges and webinars because no one signed up. But this time I just felt compelled to keep going. I was like, I'll just go with it. So
Yeah, and you know the difference, right? Because sometimes it is right. It's just like let the idea go, cancel it. It's fine. Nobody signed up. Okay, let it go. Run it again if you feel right. But
yeah,
you,
exactly.
your energy, your soul was saying, no, we need to create this. We don't know why. We need to create this. So you followed that impulse, right? And I love that because that and then it gets created and then it's there and someone will step into it and 6 months later, a year later, someone will step into it, right? Who knows? So that's so powerful when you follow. And you know
Yeah.
the difference, right? That nudge, it's like doesn't leave you alone, does it? It's sort of
Yeah,
hugs you.
it's so funny, and as you say, the impact might not be there today, tomorrow. It might be a year later. I mean, especially like these days where you can just like have like passive income, like have like courses, just like they can download it, whatever. You just don't know what the impact is going to be right now. So, I mean, I think that challenge, I mean, it's a free 5-day challenge for yoga teachers. So I don't actually know how many people are on there. There are more people on there now. They're going through it, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, yay! And I think for me as well, I do celebrate or try to celebrate every single person that comes onto one of my like either clients, programs, sign-ups, whatever it is. Every single person that comes into my world, I guess,
Mm.
just because of the energy behind it as well. Because sometimes, as you say, I had one client sign up for this program and some people will just say, oh, it's only one person, but it's like, no, it's one person that actually needs this, like your client. So
Yeah, I think that is so powerful, and that's the way to do it, to keep celebrating. Like I'll do that now, like, oh, someone just a new subscriber to my YouTube channel, a new like one more follower on my page, wherever, right? It's like, oh, some
yeah,
soul has seen what I've created and they've resonated somehow and they just want
yeah,
to maybe follow along for a bit and see if it resonates more. That is something to be celebrated. I really do
Oh,
believe that.
yeah.
And it's so, you know, we forget how wonderful that is. And one of the things that's helped me so much through this whole period is, you know, remembering as well, you know, when we're trying to get clients, we're trying to fill programs, we're trying to pull from the outside, remember that we're here to create, we're here on a
Mm.
mission, so we're going to be supported within the universe with what we're doing, but we're also, you know, the people that are going to gravitate towards us, they gravitate towards each of us because we're the person that can deliver what they need. So whether that's like business stuff, spirituality, yoga, any modality, you're the one that they'll resonate with, right? You can have 10 other people teaching exactly what you teach. They need to hear it from you. They need to hear it from me, right? For some reason. So when I remembered that, I'm like, I can just relax. I'll just do my bit, show up,
Yeah.
share, speak, write, whatever I want to do. The rest is nothing to do with me, and people will find me when they need to and they're ready to, and I'm the one for them. You know, it's like relationships, right? Like you will find your people, soulmate, you know, soulmates and connections and soul aligned
Yeah.
people. So it's just something to remember, I think, when sometimes it feels a little disheartening on the journey. Remember that people here are already soul contracted to connect with you, so just relax.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially like sort of for me, I have to remind myself that all the time, you know, there's so many business coaches out there. And I'm just like, but there's only one me. And there's only one, you know, there might be God knows how many hundreds and thousands of coaches out there, but no one has the experience that I have, the backstory, you know, whatever my experiences. So, you know, and as you said, it's something that we just have to sort of keep, that I really have to keep in mind sometimes, especially when sort of it's like, oh, but this person is this. I'm just like, no, 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 no. That's good for them. They're doing that. I need to, you know, I stay in my own like lane and I just find my own. So, but you know, and then I do remind myself as well, you know, people that need to hear from me, that they will hear from me. So, you know, and they come into my world whenever it's right for them. And I guess for me as well, because, you know, I mean, let's say I open up a group coaching program tomorrow and have all of a sudden like a few hundred people join. I would not know what to do with that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We have to be ready. Our minds are like, bring us the thousands. But in reality, I've done the same thing. I've gone, okay, if my stuff suddenly blew up overnight the way my mind is telling me it should, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, would you be able to hold that many people? Would you actually feel like, would you just run for the hills right now? So sometimes we have to evolve into being able to hold more. That's more
yeah,
money, right? More wealth, more abundance, more clients, more visibility, more
yeah.
attention. Because we
Abs-
think that that's easy, but sometimes it's not. It's like a bit overwhelming, and you know, so it's like we've got to trust that we're growing, we're learning, that we're holding this bigger capacity all the time. And sometimes we just got to have that P word that we never like, is patience, you know, just to kind of like hold on, just have to do your bit. And I know I find that so challenging myself. I
oh,
still I'm so impatient. But I think if we know we're impatient, we can just hold ourselves with a bit more love, get into the
yeah.
book more and just go, okay, just breathe one step at a time. Not always easy.
I'm so impatient. It's actually hilarious. So I'm just like,
Mhm.
I want it now. So I mean, there is say Amazon Prime, love it because it's there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, I get my books on my Kindle, so I've got it like literally instantly. So I was like, yes. But yeah, so impatient. Like, I'm so impatient. It's hilarious. But I also do know, and I'm very much believe that everything happens at the right time. You know, the way that it's supposed to happen. So that sort of helps me with being patient a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah, same. That's probably the one for me as well. It's like, okay, when I have that human, like, give it to me now. And it
Yeah.
is, we're such an instant gratification, like, phase of humanity, right? Everything, as you just said, like Amazon, and we're literally primed, Amazon Prime, to receive
Yeah.
it now. So yeah, it's like I do that as well. It's like divine timing is the one thing that helps me to go, okay, all right, you have a bigger plan and you have a better
Yeah,
plan than I could know. And I trust my soul, I trust my higher self, all in its own time. So as long as we're not using that as an excuse to get out of the things we should be doing, right? Because
yeah,
that's the other thing, just catch that a little bit. But if we know that we're just doing our bit, we're just eyes on our own creations, believe in
yeah.
it, back it, do that work that we need to do to keep ourselves there. Because that's usually where the work is. It's not so much our strategy.
No,
Usually a lot, I mean, it can be as well, but a lot of the time it's our energy and our beliefs and our inner world, right? So that's where we get to put the focus. It's just not easy.
yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Well, that's the thing though, isn't it? It's like, we all have to sort of work on ourselves and just, you know, I mean, it would be boring otherwise as well, right? I
Yeah.
mean, staying the same and being the same as everyone else as well. It's just no,
Yeah, and how inspiring is it? Oh, one day I woke up, I decided to create my own business, and I did, and all the clients came, and I made loads of money, and I made an impact, and at the end, it's like we wouldn't maybe necessarily enjoy that, and yeah, there's like loads of twists and plot twists and turns and exciting things as well.
no, exactly, because those things help us evolve as within the business as well as people and ourselves. So, I as much as I, sort of hate like downs in business, but see what the lesson is from that, because there usually is a lesson. And
Always.
what I sometimes also sort of remember is if I can't see the lesson yet, I'm probably still in the lesson right now. So just keep going. It will come. It will come.
That's
So
a good point. Yeah, a really good, because that's why sometimes people do. They're like, "Where's the lesson?" I haven't learned anything. This is rubbish. I haven't learned anything. It's like, yeah, you're still in it. Hang on, you'll get out of
just
it,
just
and then you'll learn.
just keep going. You'll get there. Oh dear. I was gonna say, going back to your taking like aligned action taking. No, I think did we cover that sort of top tips? No, we've
Well,
covered that. Haven't we?
yeah. See, I
Because
love this where
when
I go tangents. Yeah, I think I was saying
it's fine.
about yeah, I was saying about the difference, right? About like taking action for the sake of it, and then
Yeah,
actually what it feels like aligned and following what really feels true for you. Yeah,
yeah. No, that's
that's what
fine.
we got.
It's a good conversation when we're going like a 20 minutes like tangent, so it's fine.
Goes where it goes. It goes where it needs to go.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier we've all sort of come to Earth. You didn't say it quite in those words, but we've come about with our soul blueprint. Did you call
Mm.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds quite interesting.
Mm. Yeah, so I can expand on that. Yeah, because some people
Yeah,
will feel that. So, and if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't really resonate, that is okay. Like, release this part, that's okay. But for those of us, it's more those of us who really feel this. So it's like this. What it is we've come into this lifetime, and I'm going to just share this belief, and again, take it or release it if it doesn't
yeah,
resonate. But my knowing is that we've had many lifetimes. This isn't our only lifetime, right? So we'll kind of go from there. So if we imagine we've had all these lifetimes before, we've accumulated all these gifts and talents and experiences and everything that we know, and then we drop into this lifetime, and this lifetime is an interesting one because of everything going on the planet right now. It's so what's crazy and it's tumultuous, and there's a lot of shifts and changes happening. So all of us that are here on this mission of some kind, we very deliberately, of course, decided we'd come in at this point in time and be here for this craziness. So our soul blueprint is imagine you've come inside with, imagine just like this light inside of you, light codes in your DNA, in your soul.
oh,
You have all of this, and you've come in with this beautiful mission. And a lot of you listening to this, because you are, you're doing yoga, or you're creating your businesses, and you're doing all of these things. You've come here to really not only undergo your own soul growth and development, you've come here to impact the world as well. And you've got ripple effects with all the people and lives that you touch. It's a big deal, right? It's a big, beautiful, expansive thing. So our soul blueprint is often that part that sometimes how we know we're really living it is we feel very expansive and lit up, and we feel very on track, very on mission, whether or not the physical reality is where we want it to be yet, but we're very on mission. Most of us, though, are only living out a little bit of it, because we're in the physical world, we're in these physical bodies that are very heavy. They're very programmed. We've all, no matter how aware we feel we are, we're all subject to a lot of programming just by
Yeah.
being on this earth, right? It's everywhere. So a lot of us are still going through this process of being activated, which means, almost like having your light switched on fully, where you're really, really connected. So we have these missions, dreams, visions, ideas. So that's why it's so important not to ignore those, because that's the key to starting to allow your soul blueprint to really come through. So there's a lot more to say on that, of course, but it's like just this idea, right, that and understand that we can start with. You do have one. We all have one. And it's not the same as, I'll find your one purpose, because it's much more expansive than that. Like career coaches would say, what is your dream job? Soul blueprint is that and 1,000 things more. It's so expansive, right? And you'll feel that because you're very multifaceted. All of us here listening, tuning in, very multifaceted, multidimensional beings, which is a whole other subject, but there's more to us, right? Much more to us.
I mean, I guess especially these days as well, it's like where people in the past, and I think it's still happening now as well, being put into like one category where you can only do one thing. You can only be a coach, or you can only be a yoga teacher, you can only be whatever. Whereas now it's like these more passionate people are starting to come out more and more, and actually sort of start combining things, which again then makes them unique, and like their approach unique and everything. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, even when I grew up to believe, work the traditional 9 to 5. So whereas like now these days, it's yeah, for me at least, it's easier to go into like have your own business. It's like more normal these days, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, it's more accepted,
So
isn't it? People hear about
yeah,
it more. It's not so, what do you mean you work for yourself? It's like we're surrounded now by, I think online shows us as well, right? That there's
well,
lots of people do it now.
you are, yeah. I mean, especially like now after COVID as well, like,
Yeah, I mean, everything pivoted. Online is more like
absolutely.
mainstream, and all of that. So yeah, it's a good time. It's a great time to be here and create things out of the box that you maybe 20 years ago would have been more challenging, because we've also
Oh
got
yeah,
technologies and we're on Zoom right now. It's crazy.
absolutely. So talking about, or sort of thinking about your business, and being in like a lane in your business as being just the coach or just the yoga teacher, whatever. Um, do you have any sort of tips on how people can find their own way within their business? I know again, it's like it's a huge question. I do know that.
I love you've got very expansive questions. I love them. They're great. Yeah, you mean sort of on the type of thing that they're doing. And yeah,
Yeah,
you just nailed it, actually, because you were saying about we've got people we're doing more than one thing. So
yeah.
one of the things I would say, I think, again, I draw on my own experience, is maybe dropping the need to label yourself, which is such a thing, because
Oh
I
yeah,
spent hours over the years trying to figure myself out, like, what am I? Because I never resonated. And some of you, and if you do resonate with one label, perfect, go with that, because that's completely aligned, right? So don't ignore all of what I'm about to say.
oh
Follow
yeah.
your own, right? But for those of us who feel like, I'm a coach, but I'm not just a coach. I don't just, like, I always say, like, I was a coach, but I'm not just coachy. I trained in coaching, but I also trained in therapy. I do a lot of
Yeah.
therapy. But then I'm not a typical therapist, because I break all the therapy rules. Like, I
Yeah.
don't, I'll be friends with you if you work with me, right? That's not what therapists do. So I don't fit into those.
Yeah.
And I'm also a channel. So I use that as I guess a way for people to recognize that I channel information and energies. But that's not just all I do, because I also do the strategy bits and the action
Yeah.
taking bits. And the emotions and like there's a whole load of stuff I do. So I think I just gave myself a massive headache and I've changed it over the while, like over different
Yeah.
times. I call myself all different things. So I think what our number one tip is, release the need to box yourself in. Call yourself whatever you feel resonant with now.
Yeah.
And just go with now, because in 3 months' time you might have another evolution, or you might shift your branding or shift your messaging, and then a different word will feel good.
Yeah.
So just see labels as energies, I'd say, because that's a real big one. So I have a lot of clients that come in and because they've labeled themselves as something, then they've just already decided that's how they're going to work with people, and then they've kind
Mm.
of ruled out all of this stuff over here
Yeah.
because of they've called themselves a mentor, or they've called themselves a coach, and it's like, oh, you're
Yeah.
not just a coach. Do you realize you do XYZ? Because one of the things I do
Yeah.
is I see what people do
Mm.
straight away. It's like, you do this. And it's always more expansive than we can
No.
see. Often we can't see it for ourselves. We're so close to our
Yeah.
own abilities. So I would say, yeah, my tip on that is really, if you can just loosen up around it, don't attach too greatly. Like today, I'm calling myself a transformations guide, a channel, and a mentor, right? I don't know what I'm going to call myself in a year. Maybe this will stick. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I've been very recently through the same sort of thing, because I'm just like, I'm not just a business coach and mentor. I'm just that there is so much more to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's at one point I literally had to say, it doesn't actually matter what I call myself, because what I do is it that stays the same. So
Yeah.
if I just, like as you said, detach from the label what I am, and just actually, I guess, not even attach, but focus on the things that I do, and just, start to actually explain to people what I do rather than who I am, as
Yeah.
in the label.
Yeah. Drop those
That's
elevator pitches. That'd be my tip. I am a dot 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 who helps dot 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 to dot dot dot. Like, I'm not saying that can be useful in
yeah,
your own world, like when you're trying to create, like, get a little bit of structure around what are you doing. Like if I say, what are
yeah,
you doing, like, have that for yourself. But when we start to
yeah,
lead with that out there, I think that really, like already just from this conversation, you are so much more than a business coach, because you look at the questions you're asking me. Like, they're massive, expansive. Like, there's already, you can, I could tune in and go, you are like so much more than that, right? It's like,
yeah,
that's just a label that maybe makes sense if you have to put yourself somewhere. But yeah, it's just, and we're so multifaceted and multi-passionate. And people will call you things, hopefully good things.
yeah,
They'll just call you stuff. Like, I remember someone did a post and they said, oh, so good to work with Marie, she's just the best mentor. And I'm like, mentor, interesting. I wasn't using that word back then. Somebody called me a coach, somebody called me a guide, somebody, like, oh my God, everybody calls me everything different. And I think if I lined up 10 clients, and this might be for some of you as well, like, they would all probably speak very differently about me. It's not that I've probably got lots of different sides to me, but because I tune in different ways, and I know
yeah.
a lot of you will as well, I know that you do, you'll tune in with people. So what they get from you is very different. Just like they're all
Yeah.
talking
Oh,
about this different person, but it's all you. And I realize that in my clients, I asked them once, how would you describe, I think in my group, this
mm,
may be a good question for some of you if you've got groups or clients, like, how
mm,
would you describe what I do? How do I assist? And I got overlaps, but I got all these sort of different
mm.
flavors of it. And I'm like, okay, this is not helping me in my marketing, but it also is. Because I'm not, I've got to stop trying to box myself in. That sometimes it's a battle, we're doing it unconsciously, and we
Yeah,
don't actually need to. So that's a big, juicy one. I wish I'd have known that earlier, because then I probably wouldn't have spent so much time
yeah,
on that,
yeah. And
you know?
I know I've done a training a few days ago, and I can't even remember what it was about, but she was talking about in the beginning of her business, doing like all of these um client avatars, and like the who's my ideal client, and what they do for, like, they're working here, they go, and she's just like, it's good to know who your ideal client is, but I don't need to know what they're working as. You know,
Yeah.
it's just like, I know it helps, especially in the beginning with like, you know, messaging and all of that and talking to the right people, etc. But again, if it's just, if you're just getting, you know, don't spend hours on it. Just
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I need to get, no, just let
Yeah.
it, just let it go.
Yeah, spend
Just,
a nice 30 minutes with a cup of tea or a
yeah.
cup of coffee and just try and think about it, and then yeah, let it go. Exactly. Because like I remember doing them really, they might have probably evolved over the years. I think we recognize more they're not so useful. But in the early days, I used to do ones like, hey, questions were like, what magazine do they read? I'd sit there, be like, what magazine does my ideal client read? Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're wildly different to you in that area, or you don't have a clue. It's like, go deeper than that. Speak to
Yeah.
their hearts and souls, and just
Well,
share what comes through you. Because sometimes, like I do this, I'll just share messages. They just come through and I share and I speak. And I'm not trying to target anyone,
no,
because
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
very, there's an energy with that, right? It's like, I'm just gonna blah, it's gonna come out wherever it lands. And again, that's aligned for me, but some of you that will be aligned for. Some of you listening maybe will want like a certain type of person because it's
Yeah,
very aligned for you. So again, it's just listen to these types of conversations even, and
yeah.
release what we're saying, right? Take up parts of
What?
what we're saying, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, I do that. I mean, I've watched that training. I watched it. I'm just like, yeah, the majority of points I'm just going to leave because they don't do anything for me, that don't like align with me or so. I mean, it's with everything in life. If you read an article, watch a training, watch a YouTube, whatever you do, just take bits that work for you. That's, you know, but again, that is actually a process to recognize that as well.
Yeah, yeah,
So, you know, if someone in a training tells you you need to cold message 10 people a day to get, I don't know, 2 signups, whatever it may. I'm not saying that anyone does that, but you know, if that doesn't feel aligned with you, just don't do it.
yeah,
Just you know, um, but yeah, it's just sometimes I guess once I sort of someone essentially told me, oh, you can do things that you want to do the way that you want to do it. I'm just like, oh yeah, why did someone have to tell me this? I just,
yeah.
you know, but yeah. So if anyone listens to this, just do business the way that you want to do it.
That's
Just take
programming though,
this.
isn't it? You know, as you
Yeah.
said, because you're so aware, right? As well. But you, even so, you can still find yourself, like me as well. It's like we still find ourselves reacting and behaving in a certain way. It's like,
Oh yeah.
oh no, we're so programmed heavily into, like, it can't be fun. It has to be, it's work, right?
It
For a
needs to be
start.
hustle, and you have to
Yeah.
hustle to get clients and be successful and whatever. Yeah.
Have to reach Fridays exhausted and tired because you've done a whole work and you've worked hard for the money that you've made, even if it is a small amount, right? It's like
Yeah.
you've worked hard. So there's all these programs that we are, I think when you're entrepreneurial and you're creating your own anything, you're going to hit up against them. There's no like, and know that as well. And this is like whether you're beginner, you're somewhere in the middle, you're more seasoned, you've been doing this
Mm.
for decades, it doesn't matter, because wherever you are, you will run up into certain programs when you're trying to evolve. So that, make that okay, because when we're not problems that need to be fixed, you know, we don't have to get to this end point. Because
No.
I've been, you know, I'd say like with the last decade, I've been immersed in my own spiritual growth, my own development, but you know, I'm never going to be finished. I just see it as I'm going to do this through this lifetime. It's not, you know, it's like we're not trying to get to the end point here. um so it's okay whatever's coming
Yeah.
up, but stuff's going to come up. It can't not.
No, that's the thing, isn't it? It's just like it's part of us growing and like developing, and that's not even on a business level. That's just us as a person, isn't it?
Yeah,
So, I mean, because we've been through experiences, and then suddenly, for whatever reason, it's not suddenly, but it's a trauma, but you've never really seen it as that, and then something triggers you, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, hang on, what, you know, what, and then you have to work through that. So, but again, this is how we grow as people, and
yeah,
you know, it it's the same. Yeah, gosh, 10
yeah.
steps back.
That's
My
the
brain
idea.
is just like literally
Yeah.
going.
which is, that's exactly me. I'm like, I want to say so much, we just got to breathe. We
This is
just
also where a
ground.
lot of
Yeah.
people do say that, you know, your business is your business and your life is your life. It is, don't get me wrong, but they're also so interconnected. So
Yeah.
because if you don't feel very well for whatever reason, that will show up in your, you know, that would affect your business to a certain degree. You have to separate your business,
Mm.
yes, but it's still all sort of interlinked as well. So
I think when we're on a mission, you know, like as I spoke about before, like those of us who are really, we're passionate and we're on a mission, you know, it's that level deep. It's not like,
yeah,
oh, it's a job, it's just work. I feel like we don't really separate it out in the way that we would if it was a job. So we are kind of like, it's all of us, all
yeah,
aspects of us. It's business, it's life, it's family, it's all part of us extension. So it's like we don't really get to separate it. But at the same time, it's like we've got to know that we just got to focus on the parts that are in front of us, but then
yeah,
everything interacts, as you said. You know, I've had loads of clients that, let's say there's a business issue. Oh, I've got an issue with a client attraction, let's say, right? It's a big one.
yeah.
And they're doing all the right things, but it's like, this thing that happened in your past relationship 12
Mhm.
years ago, right?
Yeah,
It's still playing out. It's in your energy
yeah,
field, and you've not fully healed from that. So we're like this kind of field of all these different experiences. So that's why, you know, yeah, I agree. We don't separate them out in that way, because everything, our health, our mindset, our overall energy levels, they're all going to impact our business, and
yeah.
everything's kind of together. So we are this one whole being, aren't we, in the middle of it all? So, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so looking at the time,
Yes.
and as this is like a natural stopping point before we go on about a million other tangents, so I'm just gonna call it at the moment.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marie, for being on today. It
You're
was
welcome.
absolutely amazing. I can't believe apparently it's an hour already. So
It's gone quick. I loved speaking with you, in case it wasn't obvious. And I love the tangents. You're a woman of my own heart. So thank you very much. I hope we haven't overloaded the listeners, but there you go.
it's all right. Just have a cup of tea and just decompress for the next hour or so. That's fine.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Marie.
Thank you.
Thank you.